pleasure of welcoming head and deputy head of Lordswood Boys School in Birmingham, who are the pioneers of this scheme to help children whilst they are at home. No doubt, parents will also welcome this initiative too. Let me introduce the head and deputy head of Lordswood Boys School, Lee Williams and Raj Kang. Welcome to both of you to this program, and thank you very much for joining us. And may I ask both of you to begin with, what should the children do whilst they're at home, the schools are closed? Lee.
Thank you. Thank you for your welcome. Thank you for your invite, and a very warm welcome from us at Lordswood Boys School to your viewers as well. Hello, everybody. So obviously, this is a very unusual time at the moment, and we're learning things daily as families and citizens of the communities that we live in. From a school and educational perspective, I think one of the most important, we maintain a sense of routine and normal routine as best as possible. As we know, we operate well when we adhere to a routine as adults, and so do children as well. And not having that daily get up out of bed, have breakfast, walk or travel to school, etc., can be quite disruptive. So trying to instill some form of regular practice in the way that you manage your daily lives at home is really important. It's also really important to keep your children learning. And learning in many different ways as well as at the moment. Trying to keep your children happy, healthy, and complete work that their schools are sending through to them. I know from our own perspective at Lordswood Boys School, we use a variety of different platforms, Google Classroom being one. We also meet regularly as a staff on Zoom conference calling, but then any other resources, whether they be digital online or paper-based resources that the school are sending out or advising you to use at home. I think it's just a really important reference to make here that given our new way of working and teaching our children at home, using some of the government resources and the way that the government have pulled together, the Department for Education in particular, the resource packs and guidance, are also very valuable. And I know that Raj has got some further points to make here, and also some very useful links to different websites that can be used.
Raj.
Thank you, Lee and Baji. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. So I'd like to start just by saying thank you very much for airing this show, because it will be very useful for parents to hear this from people that are in schools at the moment. But there's some key things that you can do at home to make this process a lot better for your children. So key steps that you can take. One key area is creating a learning environment in the home, whether that's a table and chair in your living room, whether it's at the kitchen table, so that the child knows that when they're in that area, that's time to learn and it's time to get down to work. That's really important because they have that at school. They've got desks, they've got classrooms, and that routine and structure that Lee spoke about is absolutely essential. So that's the first thing. Getting out of your pajamas in the morning is really important. Getting showered, getting dressed, so that children know that we're going to do this in the morning and this is the time that we're going to start to learn. That's absolutely critical. In addition to that, involve your child in what they're going to be learning about, creating a timetable. You can do that on the computer, or you can do it simply by hand and be creative with it. Asking your child which subjects they like and what they'd like to learn first. Not forgetting that it's really important that you do maths and English as much as possible so that they don't fall behind. So if your child likes maths, say to them, if you like maths, let's do maths first and put that on the timetable. As well as subjects and as well as learning, what's equally important, and I must stress this, is ensuring that you have a break and you have lunchtime and you take the time to go outside, play with the children, take some time out and enjoy that with them. Lunchtime, going on to lunchtime, try to keep food healthy. Try to have lots of fruits and vegetables. Try to avoid sugary snacks and drinking lots of water so they're well hydrated for learning as they would be at school. What's also critical here is not forgetting that as well as staying eating healthy, it exercise as well. And doing that exercise with them, whether you do that watching a video or whether you go outside and play, you must try to do that. Now, there's lots of websites out there. So once you have looked at what's on your school website, you can turn to websites such as Collins and BBC, and there's quizzes on there. There's live programs so that they get that teaching as well from a video. There's also lots of interactive things on there where they can learn on different subjects. In particular, BBC have launched daily lessons as well, which is particularly useful. And on those lessons, you can click into different subjects. So if you are at secondary school and you are doing GCSEs, you can click onto those subjects and you can access all of the resources that would be available through school as well.
Raj, when the children and the parents working together, don't forget some of the parents are working from home and they're going to be helping the children, but children can easily go drop out of the routine they're used to, and they could be simply, oh, I'll do this tomorrow, or I'll do this afternoon, or I'll do this evening. How best is it to bring those children into the routine and the parents who are working from home and to combine that two together?
That is absolutely critical because there are parents that are working from home. And what you need to think about is when you are having these discussions with your children, you must be having that discussion with them about why are we doing this? Why are we learning from home? And it's so that you don't fall behind in your education. In particular, for those children that are doing GCSEs, they're going to maybe lose 3 months of their learning, 3 months of critical learning time at school. And when they go back, they do not want to be behind other children and want to be behind in terms of achieving really good GCSE results, because year 11 next year will continue as normal. So children understanding why are we doing this, and equally with younger children, telling them why we're doing this is really important.
Can I bring Lee in now? Lee, can you tell us what will actually happen to the admissions?
Yeah, of course. Um, we're schools and local authorities are still working. Let's be clear on that. As a education providers, and as Raj has rightly pointed out in the points before me, it is really important that parents have confidence that education establishments and local authorities are still working hard obviously to engage students, but then also making sure that students that were set to transition from either primary school to secondary school or from early years into primary school are comfortable and confident with knowing that the school that they're due to be going to in September, and at the moment we have no clear indication as to when we'll be returning to any form of normality. But to know that all of the processes that would typically be happening at this time of year from an admissions perspective are still happening. Obviously, given the complications that the lockdown and certain restrictions from social distancing and shielding perspectives have brought in, there are some delays in the way that things are being processed. But I know, as a parent of children that are starting to move from one school to another, and also as the head teacher at Lords of Boys School, that our students that are joining us in September have all been contacted. We've had some very, very pleasant conversations with their families with regards to their transition into our school. We've had the opportunity to put their minds at ease with regards to the processes that we'll be following, and I'm sure that other families will have started to receive telephone calls similar to the way that I'm describing as well. I think it's also worth just mentioning here, that that Lords of Boys School, if you're a family that's local to us, or you're watching and listening to the advice that we're helping and providing with today, please give us a call if you've got any questions. Even if your son isn't due to be coming to Lords of Boys School, Raj or myself would be happy to give you some pointers in the right direction, turning you to the local authority websites that are most accessible in the first instance. But then also for local families, if you have a son that is looking for and moving into secondary school in September, we are still accepting places at Lords of Boys School, and if it would be of interest for you to have a conversation with us about that, we'd very much welcome that. I think the great thing about this this situation, which is, let's face it, not very pleasant and is very, very taxing on us all, but the great thing about it is to see and to hear the community spirit that has really risen up here, and the way that people are supporting one another. And I think that in true spirit of the way that Lords of Boys School operates and has continued to take account of how we help people, that's something that we'd be very, very happy to help and support with.
Okay, Lee, let's play a video for the parents and the children, and it's only a couple of minutes. And once the video is finished, then we'll come back to you again. And let's have that video, please. Thank you. Welcome back. That was the Lordswood Boys School shown in that video. Lee, can you just take us and tell us about Lordswood Boys School, please?
Yeah, of course. Well, let me start off by just referring back to a few of the points that were in the video there as well. I mean, it's with great pleasure, and I'm incredibly proud of the achievements that the students have recorded at the school. Record performance 3 years in a row from GCSE perspective. The government measures schools as a prime accountability measure now by something which is called the Progress 8 figure, or sometimes what the media refer to as the P8 figure. Our Progress 8 figure over the last 3 years has risen from plus 0.36 in 2018 to plus 0.24 in 2019. And then, based on our projected grades, although there are some discussions with regards to how schools and their accountability figures will be published this year, we would expect a plus 0.69 grading for Progress 8 this year. Now, if I just to add some context here, that Progress 8 figure is set, and a school that would be typically working at an average level would probably see a score of somewhere around 0. So 0 is set as a national expected standard, and that's based on students and their progress in their 5 years at secondary education. So the scores that they came into the school when they entered the school at year 7 based on their key stage 2 SAT results, to what their projected progress would look like at the end of the 5 years. Now, with progress scores anywhere in the plus figures, so like ours, plus 0.36 in 2018, etc., and so on, that suggests and validates that the school is adding progress to the student's starting point of to where they entered the school. And so we're incredibly proud of the progress that the students at Lordswood Boys School make. I think one of the questions that a lot of families and parents ask with regards to this is, well, how do you manage to do that? Because educating students is and the varied needs of different students that come and learn in schools is quite vast and varied. And I think the one of the real answers to that question for us is that we genuinely, but also supportively, relentlessly pursue the highest standards to all and everything that we do. We don't let anything slip, because collectively that allows us to drive the school against a clear, defined set of objective aims, and making sure that not only the staff and the students, but also the parents are aware of how committed we are to making sure they make excellent progress is something that we ensure that we do. We refer to it as what we call our Swiss railway, and if you imagine this extended metaphor as being the Swiss railway it runs on efficiency, it runs on its punctuality, its cleanliness, it's modern and purposeful, and it's highly fit for purpose. Now, as an extended metaphor, that's something which fits very well to our philosophy in school. Being in a brand new state-of-the-art building, as you saw in the video, outstanding facilities for all subject areas, and a really supportive sponsoring educational trust, which is the Central Academies Trust, which is comprised of highly experienced educationalists. There is a lot of support and experience in ensuring that staff, students, and the families of the school are able to make great progress and see some fantastic results in their education as they move through the school.
So how have you managed these results, and what makes Lordswood different to any other secondary school?
So Lee's spoken about our various P8 figures and our GCSE results. But what's quite key at our school is our number one priority is literacy. So when the children come in year 7, we make sure we test their reading ages. We look at their reading age to decide exactly what support they need. We give them the appropriate books. We do one-to-one intervention, which is basically reading with an adult. We have lots of children that are from EAL backgrounds. EAL stands for English Additional Language. So we
Right.
make sure that we have one-to-one support with all of those children. In addition to that, we put on after school, lunchtime clubs to catch up with that reading that they need. And what we find is by giving them that support early on, we actually rapidly improve their progress in year 7. We have a foundation studies program as well, which is all about reading, spelling, writing. So we actually create readers and writers right from the beginning, not just waiting till year 10 and year 11, but actually putting the support in early. Now, we appreciate that at the moment, which is why during this period it's so critical that children are not forgetting and not stopping their learning, so that they are keeping up with their reading and with their mathematics as well. Now, in particular with reading, there's lots of audio books available as well. And we're
Mm-hmm.
actually sharing lots of things on our website. So if you go onto our website, you will be able to see access to lots and lots of different resources and information around COVID-19. And in addition to that, it was mentioned in the video as well, we're mindful at the moment that there's lots of parents that haven't got access to lots of things, and there might be financial difficulties as well, which is
Mm-hmm.
why we're providing a free uniform for all of our children. The way we've done what we've done at Lordswood is really by supporting the needs of every single child within the school.
Right. Okay. What is the most important thing parents should be thinking about now through COVID-19, Lee?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I'm sure a question that lots of families are asking themselves, and speaking via the various different video chat services that people have access to. I think that one of the big things to remember at the moment, particularly for parents that have sons and daughters that are maybe in year 10. That's have some loss of learning now before going into their year 11 time, is just let's not panic, and let's just be mindful that the authorities, the schools, the Department for Education are in daily contact, speaking to one another about how do we best make sure that students are not falling behind, and therefore then at risk of being without the appropriate gradings for their GCSEs or their SATs, for instance, for students that are in year 5 going into year 6. So let's not panic. Let's just be let's be supportive of one another, and explain and discuss things as we know best to do. I think also for those students and also parents with sons and daughters that are in year 11, we know that the GCSEs, and there's a lot of information on government source websites with regards to GCSEs being cancelled this summer. Turn your attention to those documents. I know there are a lot, and there are a lot of media outlets that have reported on these. My advice to families that are watching this today is that always turn to the Department for Education's website in the first instance. Should you not get the information that you need, then look at the school website that your son or daughter is attending as well. Make sure that they have a contact name or email or number that they can get in contact with. Schools are being very, very clear on their websites with how this can and should be done.
Okay,
And
Lee.
speak,
we're coming close to our time. I think finally I would ask Raj, to what key message would you like to share with our parents and the children? Raj.
Yeah, so three key messages here. We don't know at the moment how long schools are going to be closed for. There's lots of work going on to decide the timeline, and we will update on that. But it's important you stick to clear routines and structures at home. Secondly, think about admissions. If your child has not got a place in year 7, contact your local authority. If you live in Birmingham, you're very welcome. Look at our website as well, and you can refer to the emails that are shared. And most importantly, along this way, is about staying active, healthy, and being happy at home, so that you are spending as much time as possible with children to make sure they're keeping up with their reading and their learning. Next week, we will share more on GCSEs.
Lee, Raj, thank you very much for taking the time and explaining all this through COVID-19. And what message we would like to give from the Sikh channel is stay safe, follow the government's guidelines on COVID-19. I'd like to thank again Lee and Raj, and we will see you in the next program. So goodbye from me here and Raj and Lee. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Waਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।